Dear friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and we are in the module called StaadPro for beginners. And here we are with the second video. In the previous video, we just had an introduction of the software itself, and then uh, we devised this StaadPro thing into three parts. It first, the modeling is to be done, then it's an analysis, then it finishes with the design. So our uh, couple of videos, in fact, good bit of time will be spent on modeling part. How do we create geometries? So how do we play with different types of tools that we have in our StaadPro? That's very extensive. So uh, let's get started. So we are here. Let's create a new project. Let's name it as like tutorial 2. By default, the units are meter and kilonewton, and we are working with those only. This is the location where I'm saving my files. Let's say next, finish. Here we are in the, this is our graphical user interface, and this is our drawing canvas, or where we are actually creating our geometry. So, how do we create geometry? This grid is very important. This is very helpful in creating geometries. This is one. Suppose I want to create a beam of 5 meters. Since I can snip on these points, what I can do is I'll click at 0, then the next click will be at 5, right? And if how do I hide this grid? Now I go to this toolbar and I'll click on this. My grid has disappeared. And since this is an isometric view, that's why this is inclined. If I want to, see it on the front view, click on here. This is back view, side view, it's a point, side view, top view, bottom view, isometric view. So I will have my grid back. So using this grid, I created a beam. It's not a beam for now, it's just a line. So I created this line of 5 meter, right? Now I want to create a beam of 12 meter. I'll I'll go to the beam cursor here. I will select this beam and I will press a delete button from my keyboard. I'll delete it. How do I create a beam of 10 meter, or let's say 12 meters? Since here I'm not able to snip now because I'm in the beam cursor. So how do I get back? This is a dialog box on the right. Please check this snap node beam. Once you click on this, you'll be again able to snap. Now I want a beam of 12 meter. I can click on this, but how do I have the 12-meter beam? Because the grid itself is 10 meter only. So how do we, edit this grid? That's very important. It's again in this dialog box. So what you can do is you can edit. This is an XY plane, this grid. You can change the plane of the grid as well. XZ plane, YZ plane. So for now, let's keep it as XY. And what we can do is we can, in the X direction, we can create 12. Is okay. Now the 12 is there. Now I can snip on this 12 and I'm able to create a beam of 12 meter. Right. Again, let's have a grid back. Let me delete it again. This is here. These are the selecting tools. Or you can go to select here, beam cursor. You will have a beam cursor. These are all used for selecting beams. This is all used for modeling, creating. So next what I can do is I'll delete this beam again. I need a beam of 6.6. or let's say 5.5. I cannot snip, so let me go to here. Let me go to I am able to snip at 0, but I'm not able to snip in between at 5.5. What I need to do is I'll again go back to this grid. I'll edit it. I'll say spacing of 0.5. Right. Now I am able to get 5.5. I'll snip on this. I'll hide the grid and I'm able to create a beam of 5.5 meters. You can see here x 0 comma 0 comma 0, then node 2 is 5.5 comma 0 comma 0. Using the grid, you can create this. You can also do it here. This is called the data data sheet, or where you can edit your data. I can create edit here also. I'll say 6.5. This beam is of now 6.5. I'm able to edit it. Can we measure this beam? Yes, we can. So we have a display node to node distance. I'll click on display node to node distance, or you can go to tools, dimension beams, display 6.5 meter beam. Correct? How to remove. But you can go here also, display node to node distance. You can click on one node, you can click on another node, and you're able to, check the dimensions of the beam. And how do you remove this now? You can click on again on this node, again on this node, and it will automatically hide. So, so the best way to model things is using the grid and also uh, using this data sheet, right? So let's suppose I need to create a frame using this grid. Frame of having column length of 5 meter and let's say a beam length of 5 meter. So what I need to do is I'll go to the modeling. I have my beam cursor active. I will select this beam and I'll delete it. I will delete it. Now let me create a frame. I have my grid back. Frame of 5 meter by 5 meter. Let me snap on 0. I'm going to snap on 5. Then I'm going horizontally up to 5. This is my 5. Sorry, 5.5. I mean, from here to this is my 5. Then I'm going down. Let me hide the grid. I have created a frame using this grid. See, the basic is the grid. Now, can I use different tools to create a 3D frame? I want the same frame to be translated in Z direction. In Z direction, a 3D frame using grid. So what I can do is I will select this. This, what it does is this selects the beams when I have a beam cursor active. If I have node cursor active, it will select nodes only. And if I have surface cursor, it will select surfaces only, because I do not have any surface, so it does not select anything. But this is a geometry cursor. Geometry cursor means it will select everything it has. So I have used geometry cursor, I have selected it. Now what I need to do is here, translational repeat. You can go to geometry also, translational repeat, but the same geometry tools are here at the bottom row. Translational repeat. I want to repeat this in Z direction. Let me say the global direction is Z and spacing is 5. And I will say link steps. When it translates, please link these nodes and have an open base. I do not want to link at the bottom. If I say OK, here I go. I have been able to create a 3D frame from a 2D frame. So can I create a huge frame out of it, like a 10-story? Yes, in Y direction we will repeat it. We'll go to translational repeat. Sorry, we'll first select it using a geometry cursor. Let's let's say translational repeat. Let's say spacing is 5, but I want 10 steps. 10 steps. Sorry, I actually translated these in the z y x direction. In z direction, I need 10 steps. 10 steps. Sorry, not in the z direction, but in the y direction. Again, we'll go back. Y direction, 10 steps. So we are able to create a 10 story frame. Then I can again select it. I can again go to translational repeat. In z direction, I can use suppose 5 steps in the z direction again. And I'll say it link the steps. Here I go. So I have been able to create, I'll again translate in x direction. X direction, suppose 5 steps, link steps with open base. So the idea here is basic. I started with the grid, this grid. Great. Let me delete. Let me delete all this. So this is how we model, uh, our geometry using this grid. Suppose if you sometimes need an inclined, so you can incline your grid itself in that direction if you need an inclined beam or something. So, but that's like you have to edit your grid to even if your geometry is complex, right? So using grid, you can model or you can create your geometry using the data sheet that I showed here, where the nodes and all details are given. You can edit that also. So there is one more thing. In the geometry, if you go, there is something called structural wizard. Run structural wizard. If I go to run structural wizard, there are already inbuilt models. Truss models. These are different types of truss models. Frame models, surface models, solid models, composite models, and you can also import CAD models. Let's suppose frame, same kind of frame that we just created using our, translational or that repeat tool. Same bay frame, I can double click it. It asks me what's the length of your, bay frame, how many, spacings or steps you want to have along length, along height, along width. So let's keep it as default. Yeah, I can apply it. I can, okay, okay. See here, I have been able to create or model my bay frame without using grids and all. I can edit, I can delete it, right? And I can choose the frame of my choice. Frame, double click. I can edit these like 10 story along height. I need 10 stories. Along width, I need just three. And let's say height, let's keep it as it is. Here I am. Here we are. Step three bays only along X, 3 bays along Z, and 10 bays along the height. Right. Now let's say I need to delete. I need to see it along different views. So this is the view, front view of this, back view, side view, side view, because side views are and the front view is the same. So this is isometric view. So can I delete beams? So what I need to do is I need to have it one frame in one view. Let's suppose I need to delete beams. So what I'll do is I'll go to the beam cursor. I'll have to select this, something like this, then have a control, hold, something like this, something like this. something like this, it automatically captures the beams in third direction also. So if I go to the isometric view, I have selected these beam and then I'll say delete, delete. This is one way. If I want to select the beams, that's Control Z. Okay, let me delete these columns also. This is one way, right? But it's very difficult to select in such manner when your model is too heavy and it's a very complex geometry. That time, this selecting tool will come to your rescue, right? Suppose, let's say I want to select beams parallel to X only. When I was selecting like this, beams parallel to both X and Z were getting selected. So, but I need beams parallel to X only. Select, I'll say select the beams parallel to X only. Now, if I have an isometric view, only the beams parallel to X got selected. Right. I need columns only. I need to select columns only. What I can do is I'll go to this front view, but I can select like something like this, something like this. But what happens is, if you see, beams are getting also selected in other direction. So that sometimes create problems. What I'll do is go to select. I'll say beams parallel to Y. Only the columns got selected. Right. What if I want the bottom columns only to get selected? So what are the beams? Beams in the bottom floor only to get selected, beams and columns. So what we'll do is we'll say select beams by range. Range means, let's say, in XZ direction, XZ plane, XZ plane in Y from 0 to 5 only. Select. See, I don't remember what was the height, but that's how we can select it by range also. By range. Even if you have created groups, you can select by groups. You can, once you assign some sections or the materials, you can also select by materials, by by missing property. If if you want to check whether all the elements have the assigned material and the assigned sections, you can check whether any material is not having that property or the material this section. Suppose I want to check which of the elements have missing property. So every element, every beam has the missing property because I have not assigned sections yet. Right. So these tools, I hope you got a good bit of idea now. How do we create geometries and how these tools are used to select and view our our geometry. These are all the geometry tools. No, these selecting tools. Once you want to select nodes only, go to the node only. Then select only nodes will get selected. This is for the geometry. This beam cursor, then plate cursor, and all. We'll continue with the video, uh, with the module. Here we are trying to get a good idea of the graphical user interface, and we are into the modeling part, and we'll hopefully have some good number of videos on modeling part only. Thank you for watching.